During class, I deliberately texted the substitute professor. "Honey, tonight we can get it on, but if you smile, it's off." Up at the lecture stand, a certain someone's lips curved into a smile. That night, I angrily accused him of not playing by the rules. The professor, however, coolly opened a new box of ultra-thin 0.01s. Smiling does mean it's off the charts, that is. When I arrived at the lecture hall for my major course early in the morning, I noticed the atmosphere was a bit restless. I sat down and nudged my roommate. "What's going on? Did the university finally decide to refund the extra textbook fees?" My roommate replied, "No, the professor has something on today, so he asked a former student of his to cover the class. I hear he's also an academic heavyweight." "You don't know, that heavyweight just popped into the classroom earlier." The moment he put on those gold-rimmed glasses, I instantly pictured the male lead from a rom-com. Pfft, just a guy. He's really handsome, the mature, elite type. Totally your ideal. I wasn't particularly interested. After chatting a bit more with my roommate, I planned to sneak in a few minutes of sleep before class started. But my back was aching and sore. Lying on the desk just made it worse. I couldn't sit or lie still comfortably. So annoying. Forget sleeping. I pulled out my phone and started spamming someone with messages. "I told you I had an early class, and you were still so rough last night. You definitely did it on purpose, just because I teased you about being 7 years older than me. So petty. I hate you. I'm staying in the dorm all week, not coming home. You can spend the weekend alone, you old man." He didn't reply. A meeting first thing in the morning? Poor academic workhorse. I continued to furiously send this person memes to vent my frustration. Just as I was getting into it, the noisy classroom suddenly fell silent. Then, my roommate started poking me frantically. Karina, the substitute teacher is here. Quick, look." Alright, I'll look after I send these last few messages." I didn't bother looking up immediately. The next second, a male voice came from the lecture stand. His tone was captivating. "I'm Eric. Professor William had a family emergency and asked me to temporarily cover your college physics class." While my roommate was swooning beside me, I slowly, gradually, as if in a daze, lifted my head. My gaze collided with this substitute teacher named Eric. He was calm and cool. I was dumbfounded. Handsome. He wore a simple white shirt and dress pants, yet his chest muscles strained against the fabric, and the pants hugged his long legs. His physique was as impressive as one of those thirst trap influencers online. With the gold-rimmed glasses, he had total daddy vibes. He was indeed drop-dead gorgeous. And I genuinely wanted to die. Seriously. Who understands the shitty feeling of the jerk who was fooling around with you in bed last night suddenly becoming your teacher today? Isn't this substitute professor really handsome? Top tier, elite, mature man, perfect for any wolf in sheep's clothing role. He seems to keep looking over here. Karina? What's wrong with you? Your face looks so strange. My roommate, noticing something was off, quickly whispered to ask me. I snapped back to reality and forced a pained smile. Nothing, you're absolutely right. This new teacher, Eric, is indeed handsome. Deceptively presentable. Huh? Is deceptively presentable a compliment? My roommate was confused. The best kind of compliment. I stared blankly at Eric, who had already started his lecture in a perfectly serious manner. This morning, I wanted to call in sick and sleep in, but he adamantly refused. I thought he was trying to push me to study hard and didn't want me to slack off. His heartlessness would have made Hitler weep. Turns out, he wanted to play this kind of kinky game with me. Let's see if I don't play him to death. When Eric asked us to first independently analyze the experimental diagram in the book, I reopened his chat window. I sent 2 very provocative sentences. Honey, we can get it on again tonight. I want to try something different, something kinky. Student teacher sounds pretty good. But if you smile, it's off, okay? Eric's phone, which was on the lecture stand, vibrated once. He didn't look at it, maintaining the demeanor of a model teacher. So, I deliberately sneezed. When his gaze shifted towards me, I shook my phone and mouthed, "Check your phone." Only then did Eric pick up his phone. His long fingers swiped. Unlocked. Under my mischievous gaze, the corners of his mouth slowly curved upwards. He smiled silently. No way. Is Eric this easily flustered now? 2 sentences are enough to make him laugh. I was gloating and about to mock him mercilessly when he replied, "Come to the university parking lot after class. We'll go home together." After class, Eric was surrounded by a crowd of guys and girls, subtly asking for his contact information. I, on the other hand, casually strolled back to the dorm with my roommate. I had just flopped onto my bed, ready to catch up on sleep, when Eric's call came through. "Why weren't you waiting for me in the parking lot?" Glancing at my roommate, who was watching a variety show with headphones on, I lowered my voice and retorted, "What parking lot? I already said I'm staying in the dorm for a week." I didn't agree. "Does this require your approval? Don't you have any self-awareness, you old pervert? Karina, why have you become so rebellious after we started dating?" That's right. No one knew that I was dating this handsome substitute teacher, Eric. There's no drama here. He was my older neighborhood friend, had tutored me on a few problems. At most, you could say we were childhood acquaintances. Growing up, he was always the kid all parents compare theirs to: brilliant in his studies, brilliant at work, brilliantly handsome. After I got into the university in the city where he worked, we connected a bit more. Because of our 7-year age difference, during our interactions, I always felt an unconscious dominance and distance from him. It was intimidating, yet captivating. Faced with such a mature, stable, and outstanding man, I was the one who got interested first and actively pursued him. Eric initially rejected me coldly several times. Later, after my persistent efforts and a bit of shameless pestering, he finally relented and agreed. Turns out, once we started dating, I discovered he wasn't as prim and proper as he appeared on the surface. On the contrary, he was completely ruthless. He bosses me around like I'm his kid. It was only later that I realized Eric, that old man, was actually just waiting for me to pursue him actively. Every clumsy attempt I made to woo him succeeded only because he let it. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and I started talking recklessly. "So what if we're dating? People get divorced even after getting married. Maybe we'll break up one day. Are you trying to get disciplined again with that kind of talk?" Eric's voice was flat and heavy. Last night, when I'd recklessly teased him about our relationship being a case of robbing the cradle, he'd used the same dangerous tone. And then I paid the price for it. Thinking about it, my waist ached even more, and my legs felt even more sore. I instantly felt a little timid and mumbled under the covers, "Anyway, I'm not going back. If you're going to discipline me, I'm definitely not going to walk right into your trap and let you bully me." Eric said calmly, "Then who's going to take care of the small cake, 2 platters of crawfish, and 3 bags of barbecue I ordered for home today? Are we just going to let the stray dogs in the neighborhood have it all?" After much hesitation, I finally threw off the covers, my tone serious. "Can Goldie even handle such rich food? I'm on my way. Wait for me in the parking lot." After a hasty goodbye to my roommate, I grabbed my bag and headed to the university parking lot. Once I hopped into Eric's car, he didn't scold me for my earlier tantrum, nor did he mention my teasing him in class today. He kissed me as usual and even thoughtfully wiped the sweat from my brow, acting like a perfect gentleman who simply wanted to take me home to eat. My wariness temporarily subsided, and I obediently went home with him. Just as I stepped through the door, I suddenly realized I seemed to have forgotten my phone in the car. "Eric, I need to go down again to get my phone." As I turned, the door was slammed shut by Eric. He reached up and unbuttoned the top button of his shirt, asking a strange question. "Karina, are you hungry right now?" I was bewildered. "Not hungry. You made me breakfast this morning. I ate a lot. It's not even noon yet. Good, then we can get down to business now. My legs went weak. I sensed danger. What business? Fulfilling the message you sent me during class. Eric stared at me. After a faint metallic click, his gleaming silver watch was taken off and tossed onto the soft carpet. Then his glasses were tossed aside too. The Spanish-style wall clock, with its rock-textured face, emitted a very faint ticking sound. The air suddenly became charged with ambiguity. I used to wonder why, when he bought his house last year, besides the location, he also paid close attention to the soundproofing of the walls. Later, I understood. He was planning to set me up. After a session of intense pleasure, I lay in bed, staring resentfully at Eric. He was wearing only a pair of pajama pants, going commando, as he went to the kitchen to get me a glass of water. Now he was sitting on the edge of the bed, about to feed it to me. None of his daytime refined manner remained. Karina, drink some water. Your voice is all hoarse. I didn't say anything. I leaned over to drink the water. After gulping it all down, I felt a bit more energetic and immediately turned hostile. I angrily slapped his hand away. Eric, you broke your promise. I despise you. He placed the water glass on the nightstand. When did I break my promise? You didn't follow the rules of the game. The message I sent you in class today said if you smiled, it was off. And you smiled. I did smile. But the hand that had placed the water glass moved down, his fingers hooking open a drawer. He took out an unopened box of 0.01 Ultra Thins. Just as I realized something was wrong and was about to scramble off the bed, Eric grabbed my calf. He pulled me back. He kissed a love bite on my shoulder and said in a deep voice. I didn't break my promise. Smiling does mean it's off the charts, that is. He deliberately paused on the off part of off the charts. I got it. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I accused him, my voice trembling. Eric, you're becoming more and more shameless. You're even playing word games now. The following afternoon, during the college physics class, Professor William returned. The rom-com mercilessly reverted to a reality show. The classroom was filled with sighs of lament and regret. Did anyone get that handsome teacher's contact info from yesterday? No, he didn't give it to anyone. Said he has a girlfriend. Damn it, why are all the handsome guys taken? My legs feeling like noodles, I lay on the desk, eyes closed, trying to recover. Meanwhile, I listened to the hushed discussions about Eric around me. Before long, the students' topic shifted to some celebrity cheating scandal. Eric's appearance was just a small bright spot in the otherwise calm campus lives of ordinary students like us. Soon, the exam week for junior year arrived. Under someone's relentless pressure and strict tutoring, I naturally passed all my exams. But once the holidays started, I was, of course, going back to my parents' house for the summer. The thought of this made me inexplicably irritable. I hadn't told my parents about this relationship. I didn't plan to, and I also told Eric not to say anything. Although my parents had liked Eric since we were kids, they wouldn't necessarily approve of me dating an older neighborhood friend who was 7 years my senior. His parents definitely wouldn't approve either. After all, the outstanding and mature Eric needed to be with an equally outstanding and mature woman. It could be a female scientist colleague from his research institute, or other accomplished women his age. It could even be a rich, beautiful blind date his elders might introduce him to. Anyway, it definitely wouldn't be me, still in college. Clumsy and clueless. If we were to lay our cards on the table, the elders definitely wouldn't blame me for being childish. Instead, they would accuse Eric of luring an innocent young me, saying he had bad intentions, that he was harming me. Then one of the families would directly move away. Even though I was the one who initiated this relationship. The many years of harmonious neighborly relations would just end up a complete mess. So, I told myself not to think about when this relationship might be forced to end. Just stealing moments of joy, living intensely in the moment, even if it was like draining the pond to catch all the fish. Eric was very smart. He quickly noticed something was off with me. He asked me, "Karina, what are you thinking about?" I subtly hid my melancholy and turned to him with a proud smile. "Hee, I was thinking that when I go home for the summer vacation, you won't be by my side." This greatly displeased a certain academic heavyweight, Mr. Grant, who had no summer or winter breaks and was currently engrossed in some important research. He raised an eyebrow. "What, you plan to run wild when I'm not around? Or are you planning to fly off to the moon?" I quickly assured him. "Absolutely not. I'll definitely video call you on time every night, reply to your messages anytime during the day, and even report to you when I go to the bathroom." Only then was Eric satisfied. But that night, as he held me while we slept, he suddenly said in a deep voice, "Karina, just be yourself. I'll take care of everything else." I didn't say anything. I pretended to be asleep. After returning home, free from constraints, I spent my days having a blast with a group of high school classmates. Sleeping in late, then going out to have fun. Out of sight, out of mind. Eric only chided me lightly over the phone a couple of times. Very easygoing. It seemed his previous strict admonitions and possessiveness were just for show. Until that high school reunion party, when I drank too much. After rushing to the bathroom to throw up, I groggily returned to the private room to find a female classmate holding my phone. The screen showed an ongoing call. Seeing me return, the female classmate eagerly announced, "Karina, your phone kept ringing." I saw the contact name was Old Man Daddy, so I was afraid your dad had an emergency and answered it for you. I told your uncle you're not coming home tonight. The alcohol instantly wore off by more than half. I remained relatively calm as I took my phone back and walked to a corner. Ahem, well, Eric, let me explain. I really didn't mean to call you old. It's a term of endearment. Eric simply said. Karina, I'm currently resting at a highway service area. I'll continue driving in 5 minutes. I should arrive at your place around 9. I tried to sound tough. I don't believe you. You said you'd be tied up with your research project all summer. I was busy, not dead. To be with you sooner, I haven't slept properly for half a month. I finished the project ahead of schedule, and by the way, also. He let out a cold laugh, sounding like a soul-reaping ghost. You'd better be home when I knock on your door. Irregular schedule, pigging out, drinking, staying out all night multiple times, calling me an old man. We can settle this half-month's accounts properly. So, this past half-month, he was waiting for me to fatten up before slaughtering me? A chill ran down my spine. I immediately scrambled home. At 9 o'clock that night, Eric knocked on my door right on time. At that moment, my parents were in the living room watching some well-known tearjerker drama about a doormat. They were quite surprised to see Eric suddenly appear. Eric, why did you suddenly come over? Eric smiled gently. Finished my work early and came back for a break from the heat. Brought some things for you both too. Oh my, you're such a kind-hearted child. My parents were overjoyed and praised him repeatedly. They even insisted on pulling him inside for a cup of tea. Eric politely declined verbally, but his feet inconspicuously stepped inside, and then he chatted cheerfully with my parents. I stealthily observed Eric's expression from the side. I couldn't help but feel it was strange. I thought he would be incredibly angry and terrifying tonight, but his expression was exactly the same as when he was in a good mood. Maybe at my house, in front of my parents, he didn't want to reveal our relationship. Once he endured through the summer vacation, this matter would have long blown over. Thinking this, I instantly calmed down. Until it was time for bed, Eric proactively stood up to leave. Uncle, Auntie, you should rest early. I still need to go downstairs a few more times to move some things from the car into my house, so I won't disturb you. What? My mom immediately instructed me. Karina, what are you waiting for? Go help your brother Eric move his things. Okay. Eric and I exchanged a subtle glance, naturally not refusing. We hadn't seen each other for half a month. I missed him too. I wanted to kiss him. I obediently followed Eric downstairs. Because there were surveillance cameras in the hallway, we maintained a polite social distance. But once we reached a corner of the community parking lot with no cameras, I was suddenly pulled into the back seat of a car. Kisses rained down instantly. Once he shed his refined exterior, Eric's actions were somewhat fierce. Finally, a chance to settle the score. I snapped back to reality. So this old man had been feigning propriety again. I cursed him inwardly but pleaded pitifully with my words. Eric, there are still elderly folks walking their grandkids around at this hour. It wouldn't be good if the neighbors heard my voice. How about we settle the score tomorrow? I'll go with you to a hotel further away. His response was to directly lift the hem of my t-shirt and stuff it into my mouth, completely silencing me. He said coldly and ruthlessly, "This way, no one will hear. Next, you just have to bite down. If you loosen up once, I will." That night, in the black SUV in the corner of the community parking lot, I repeatedly answered several of Eric's questions. Am I really old? Not old, absolutely not old. You're not even 30, in the prime of your youth. Full of vigor. Then do you like older men or younger men? Older? Younger. Ugh, I like your type, okay. Eric, if you spank my butt with that belt again, I'm telling my parents. I was furious and protested in a low voice. But Eric wasn't flustered at all. What's the other nickname you have for me? I paused, strangely. What nickname was it? Daddy. The younger partner's most secret reliance on the older lover. I was annoyed by his control over me. Yet I was also infatuated with his dominance, wanting to be guided by him. And the older guide was now lightly patting my flushed, damp face. It didn't hurt, nor was there any insulting intent, just intense flirtation. So if you're going to tell on someone, you should tell me first. I couldn't help but glare at him. I'm changing your contact name to your full name later. No, I'm actually quite satisfied with this nickname. Why? He rolled down the car window a crack, then straightened my wrinkled t-shirt. Because the nickname I have for you is actually quite similar. My interest piqued, I hurriedly reached into his pocket to find his phone. What, let me see. Where's your phone? He encircled me and took his phone from the center console. His fingertips swiped across the screen a few times. I saw the nickname he had for me. It was a nickname with a very strong connotation, filled with possessiveness and affection. Puppy. That nickname made me blush all the way home. My parents weren't asleep yet. Seeing me, they immediately told me to come over and drink some water. You still don't exercise enough. Helping move some things made you sweat this much. I was too embarrassed to explain. I just kept drinking water, trying to calm my burning insides. My parents didn't ask much either, continuing to chat while watching TV. You were just saying that old Mr. and Mrs. Grant recently found a girl for Eric. What does she look like? She's good looking, the daughter of the director at our unit. Graduated with a master's, well educated, very classy. They'll probably let the two kids start seeing each other in a few days. Oh my, that's a perfect match then, it's sure to work out. Yeah, when our Karina graduates in the future, works for 2 years, then finds a boyfriend. Karina, what's wrong with you? Why is your face suddenly so pale? My mom, hearing this, came over to touch my forehead. You didn't go out partying for a few days, then move things for half a day, and get heatstroke, did you? With difficulty, I pulled myself out of the overwhelming panic and shook my head, forcing a smile. No, I was just thinking about something. Dad, Mom, actually Eric and I had just started speaking when I stopped. My mom didn't hear clearly and asked quizzically, huh? What? What about you and Eric? No, nothing. I was saying, we were just moving things, and he didn't even tell me about this. That's not very considerate. My dad laughed. It's his private matter, why would he tell you much about it? Yes. There was no need to tell me. My status was just that of an unfamiliar neighborhood girl. Huh, yeah, you guys chat. I'm going to take another shower and go to bed. With that, I went back to my room. After showering, I lay in bed, dazed. My phone kept dinging. I didn't need to look to know it was all messages from Eric. He would ask if I was feeling unwell, suggest taking me out tomorrow, and say a few steamy things that I couldn't handle. But right now, I didn't want to reply to a single one. I buried my face in the quilt. What was bound to happen had happened. Uncle and Auntie Grant had very high expectations for his marriage. How much longer could Eric and I date? If only I had been born a few years earlier, and he a few years later. The gap between us wouldn't be so obvious then, would it? Puppy is very timid. Puppy is very afraid of breaking up. Puppy doesn't want to lose important things. Eric is, and so is his love. For several days, I cooped myself up at home, didn't go out, and ignored a certain someone. Eric sensed something was wrong and came to my house on the pretext of bringing tea for my dad. Karina, go to the kitchen and help Dad wash the tea set. I reluctantly left my room. Passing through the living room. Naturally, I could feel Eric's gaze on me. Heavy and dark. I turned my head to avoid it and went straight into the kitchen. As I washed the cups in silence, I heard Eric's voice. Uncle, I'll go help Karina wash. You can brew the tea first. Then came the sound of approaching footsteps. The kitchen door was pushed open, then closed. For a long while, no one came up behind me to hug me like usual. I bit my lip, unable to resist turning around, and asked him in a low voice. Eric, what are you doing in here? He said calmly, Karina, you're avoiding me. No, why would I avoid you? I just don't want my parents to find out. If they find out, they find out. I'll stand in front of you for anything. If you want, I can go out and confess to Uncle right now. No, you can't. We agreed before, neither of us would tell our parents. Eric stared at me. Karina, are you trying to break up with me then? Don't pin this on me, I have no such intention. I frantically avoided his judgmental gaze, looking down and continuing to wash the tea set. This time, he finally came closer, leaning down to kiss the back of my neck. Just keep making me angry. You know my parents are making me go on a blind date tomorrow, right? Oh. She's my dad's boss's daughter. I can't refuse out of politeness, but I'm just going through the motions, having a meal. Who cares about you? But my tone softened unconsciously. My cold shoulder these past few days was indeed a bit childish. I thought about it, then turned around and hugged him as if nothing had happened. He was under a lot of pressure too. I couldn't throw too many tantrums. Bring me back a milk tea after dinner, full sugar. Of course. Eric leaned down to kiss me, but his brow furrowed tiredly. The next day, I was out of sorts the entire time. My parents thought I was too bored and, with a grand gesture, took me to a restaurant to improve my appetite. It was quite a coincidence. Not long after we sat down, Eric walked in with a beautiful and elegant young woman. He wasn't surprised to see me. Then his brow furrowed, and his gaze fixed directly on my face. I lowered my head in embarrassment. There are so many people here, what are you looking at? Don't you know how to be discreet? I quickly pulled out my phone to message him. Don't come over. Whatever you do, don't come over to greet me and my parents. Just pretend you didn't see us. Take her to eat next door. Use my allowance to pay for it. Eric, I really don't want this to be awkward, I'm begging you. What I feared most, happened. Eric let his phone vibrate and walked straight over. His smile was cultured and polite. Uncle, Auntie, what a coincidence, you're eating here too. Just as my parents were about to happily exchange some pleasantries with him, He directly changed the subject. Since that's the case, let's combine tables and eat together. The more, the merrier. I quickly looked up and glared at Eric, wondering if he had lost his mind. Bringing a blind date to sit at the same table as his current girlfriend, was that right? Was that reasonable? But Eric directly pulled out the chair next to me and sat down. The pretty young woman thoughtfully followed suit and sat down. My parents looked at each other, not knowing how to turn them away. And so, a bizarre dinner party was formed. I silently but angrily slapped away the large hand that was playing with mine under the tablecloth. Eric winced in pain, but his expression didn't change. He then started gently pinching the soft flesh on my knee. Little sister Karina, order the food. This meal is on me today. I didn't look at him but obediently handed the menu to the pretty young woman. Please, you order. The pretty young woman looked at me, then at Eric, whose gaze frequently landed on me. A gentle curve formed on her lips. Okay, thank you. After the dishes arrived, everyone started eating. But no one knew that under the tablecloth, a certain someone's hand was becoming increasingly audacious. As if punishing a misbehaving puppy. Karina, are you hot? Why is your face so red? Karina, why are you sweating? Karina, do you need to go to the restroom to wash your face? You seem a bit off. Truly a refined rogue. As my parents looked over curiously, my hand trembled, and my chopsticks almost fell to the ground. I forced a demure smile. Mom, Dad, I'm going to the restroom. You guys eat first. Go ahead, and hurry up the kitchen with the other dishes while you're at it. Okay. I feigned calmness and left the table, heading towards the restroom. A short while later, Eric also found an excuse and followed me. He dragged a blushing me into an unlit, empty private room. Puppy saw me on a blind date and isn't happy. He was deliberately teasing me. I scowled and bit his hand. Eric, you're being so rude. That pretty young woman didn't do anything wrong. I know, so when I first met her, I told her I have a girlfriend. Today was just a simple apology dinner. She expressed her understanding and blessings. But you still can't just sit next to me like that. What if my parents find out? Eric helped me straighten my wrinkled dress. Then we'll just confess. I don't want to wait anymore. I immediately shook my head, feeling a bit agitated. No, I said we can't confess. My repeated evasiveness made Eric's expression gradually turn cold and distant. Just like the day he picked me up when I started university, that aloof look. Since you only want a relationship that can't see the light of day and won't receive blessings, then I'll respect your choice. With that, he turned and left the dark private room. This was the first Cold War Eric and I had since we started dating. It was so cold that the weather outside didn't even matter. It had its own cooling function. There was no communication on WhatsApp, and we barely saw each other, even though we lived upstairs and downstairs from each other. One evening, when I went out to throw away the trash, I unexpectedly bumped into Eric's family. Uncle and Auntie Grant kindly expressed their concern for me. Karina, have you been sick lately? Why do you look so pale? No, just a bit of heatstroke. I answered obediently, my peripheral vision sneaking a glance sideways. In the past, if he saw me looking unwell, he would immediately show concern, give me medicine, and gently scold me a bit. But now, Eric just stood there coldly, looking down at his phone. His gaze didn't shift towards me at all. My heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly by something, suffocating, making it hard to breathe. I forced a smile, mumbled a few more responses, and then fled in embarrassment. Even though that night, I unexpectedly found a pile of heat relief medicine and my favorite snacks at my doorstep. It was obvious who sent them. This was the kind of discreet relationship I had always wanted, where we acted like strangers in front of others. But when Eric actually treated me this way, I felt so sad. It was truly pathetic of me. Over the next week or two, I listened to my parents talk about how Eric had gone on blind dates with various pretty young women. When I came back today, I saw Eric chatting with a girl in a restaurant. Was it the one with long hair? Short hair. Oh, yesterday old Mr. Grant told me they saw Eric driving with a long-haired girl. I thought it was settled. Maybe we'll receive good news about an engagement by New Year. I put down the remote and snacks and shakily walked towards my room. Karina, not watching TV anymore? No, you guys watch. Back in my room, I rushed to the bathroom. I leaned over the toilet and started to dry heave. Halfway through, I suddenly realized something, and my face turned even paler. No way. After my parents fell asleep, I silently left the house. There was a 24-hour pharmacy outside our neighborhood. I went to buy something. I wanted to find a public restroom, but then I thought it wouldn't be clean. I could only head home. What rotten luck, as I passed the parking lot, I saw Eric driving out. Through the lowered car window, I saw a beautiful woman in his passenger seat. Not long hair, not short hair, but big waves. He changed again. Eric naturally saw me standing there foolishly, but his face was impassive, and he stepped hard on the gas. And drove straight off. So, it had already reached the point of bringing them home. I clutched the medicine bag, staring blankly at the back of his car. Just as a miserable thought began to surface in my mind, the SUV that had reached the neighborhood entrance suddenly slammed on its brakes. A moment later, Eric and the woman got out of the car together. Eric raised his hand to hail a taxi for her by the roadside. During this, both of them had a slight smile on their faces. The pretty woman even craned her neck to look in my direction, her gaze teasing. After she left in the taxi, Eric drove the SUV back into the neighborhood. This time, when he passed me, he stopped. The car window rolled down, and he looked at me helplessly. Get in, Karina. Not going. I stubbornly didn't move. That was my cousin just now. Karina, be good, let's go to the parking lot, okay? I miss you. You're so annoying. My resolve softened, and I obediently got into the car. He drove the car back to that corner of the parking lot. The kiss after the Cold War was particularly satisfying, making one want to cry. After some intermittent tenderness, Eric's attention was drawn to the plastic bag by my leg. He asked casually. You're unhappy, but you don't know to call and yell at me, yet you know how to sneak out late at night to buy snacks, huh? What did you buy? Let me see. As he spoke, he was about to reach out and check. At this moment, I flinched, a little panicked, and hurriedly hid the bag to the side. No, don't look, it's some private things. What's so private? I've even washed your underwear for you countless times. What else could be private? Anyway, just don't look, really. My eyes darted around, I was clearly feeling guilty. Eric knew me very well. He dropped his lazy demeanor and narrowed his eyes dangerously, exuding a terrifying sense of pressure. Karina, bring it over. I meekly handed him the bag. The bag opened up, revealing an unopened pregnancy test. That night, my parents, who had just fallen asleep, and Uncle and Auntie Grant were all summoned by Eric. He didn't waste words, calmly dropping one bombshell after another. Karina and I have been dating for almost 2 years. But rest assured, I only developed feelings for her on the day she registered for university. Before that, there were no inappropriate emotions. We are mutually in love, our relationship is very good, and when she graduates, I will marry her. As a PhD spouse, she'll be arranged a stable job, so she won't have to struggle and can have a secure career. I didn't say anything before because I was afraid you wouldn't agree and it would cause unpleasantness between the two families. Today, I decided to speak out, not hoping for your approval, but hoping for your blessing. As he spoke, he publicly took my hand. The 4 parents were wide awake now, looking at each other in disbelief. It was Auntie Grant who reacted first. She asked incredulously. Then what about all those girls you've been on blind dates with these past few days? The first time I met each of them, I confessed that I have a girlfriend. Some of them have collaborations with our research institute, so I wasn't actually on blind dates, but discussing collaborations. And also, to provoke Karina a little, to make her braver. I lowered my head in embarrassment. All right, I admit I was indeed provoked, but I was still a coward. My dad scratched his head. So, you always came to our house just to date Karina? Yes. I was wondering why whenever you came to our house, you two were either in the kitchen or the bathroom at the same time, or going out to throw away the trash. My dad slapped his thigh, a look of sudden realization on his face. My mom looked at me and said sternly, Karina, you tell us your side of things. Don't always let Eric take the fall for you. I mustered my courage. And said firmly, yes, Eric and I are dating. But he didn't pursue me, I shamelessly and persistently pursued him. He only agreed because he couldn't refuse. If there's any scolding or punishment, just direct it all at me. I knew you were out of sorts these past few days. Turns out you were secretly dating. My mom raised her hand as if to smack me to vent her anger. I reflexively tried to dodge. As a result, the pregnancy test in my shorts pocket, which I hadn't hidden back in my room yet and hadn't had a chance to use, fell onto the floor. Dead silence. This time, it was the usually most composed Uncle Grant who exploded with rage. Eric. You're worse than an animal. The next day, the 4 elders escorted me to the hospital. I don't know if it was lucky or unlucky. The results showed I wasn't pregnant. Because it had been hot lately, I had eaten too many snacks, and coupled with overthinking and an irregular schedule, I had felt nauseous. I didn't even need to buy medicine, I just needed to cut back on snacks for a few days. I scratched my head and cautiously said, how about we all go out for a meal together? No one refused. So, the two families had a harmonious and beautiful meal together. After the meal, everyone went back to their respective homes. My dad couldn't bring himself to scold me too much, but he made sarcastic, passive-aggressive digs at Eric. If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have asked him to take care of you. My tender young cabbage, raised with so much effort, ravaged by a pig. I couldn't help but picture Eric's face on a pig's head. Interesting. By this time, my mom's anger had mostly subsided. She asked me seriously. Do you genuinely like him, or were you just infatuated by him? I genuinely like him. Has he bullied you? No. Then why didn't you tell Mom and Dad? I was afraid you and his parents wouldn't approve. My mom sighed. I don't know about others, but we and your uncle and Auntie Grant definitely want our children to be happy. So, if you want to date, then date. I was deeply moved. I hugged my mom and bawled. Just as my dad, with teary eyes, was about to come over and hug me too, I shot up. My face full of excitement. Well, in that case, I'm going on a date with Eric to watch a movie. Is it okay if I come back a bit late today? My mom sneered, sure. Curfew is 4 p.m. If you're 1 minute late, tell him he's not stepping into our house for the rest of his life. I scrambled upstairs to find Eric, racing against time. What a coincidence. I bumped right into the man coming downstairs. He hugged me, his eyes full of joy, yet he sighed. Let's go, on a date. But I can only have lunch with you. Huh? Why? Because my parents set a curfew for me. If I don't bring you home by 2 p.m., they'll introduce you to better, younger, same-aged male university students. In that case, when would we have time to do naughty things? I pulled Eric and rushed downstairs. Our footsteps echoed through the stairwell. This time, we didn't have to worry about being heard by our parents and having our romance exposed. We were only busy worrying about those 2 parental curfews, laden with all their love. This was another kind of sweet, intense living in the moment.